There is a change to the program. I've just had a note. Instead of our original speaker, Mr. Atul, who is sadly indisposed today, we have his colleague, Mr. Manish Tripathi, the CEO and Director General of the Global Indian Foundation, which runs girls' schools, who has kindly agreed to address us. So I have pleasure in introducing Mr. Manish Tripathi to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Manish Tripathi. My foundation's humble apologies. Atul is stuck in San Francisco. I have the privilege to be here. What I will present today is something which is very close to our hearts. We will talk about social entrepreneurship, and more so social entrepreneurship in the education industry. Before I start, and I've been asked to do my presentation in 20 minutes, and I'll do that. Before I start, the Global Indian Foundation is very proud to be an Indian origin run organization, but it was born and bred in Singapore. Today we operate out of countries. We have 21 schools. All this has been done in 7.5 years. Both Atul and I are from IBM. We did 22 years of corporate. And after that, we got into social entrepreneurship. And I think it was Providence, God was kind. And today, we run a huge foundation of 21 schools. We have a belief that IT, information technology, which I belong to, I work for IBM, as I said, the first window where Indians or Indian entrepreneurs could go and make an impact worldwide. There's a huge second opportunity waiting. That is education. Indian education worldwide has proven that Indians survived the harshest and the most adverse conditions and succeeded all over the world. And primarily that is because of the rigorous education system which we have in our country. And what we did today, we brought that education system in a nice, easy, comprehensive manner. Primarily started with delivering it to non-resident Indians, and then we expanded it to Cambridge, International Baccalaureate, American program. Today we run schools which are in San Francisco, purely running American programs, a school in Vietnam which runs American programs. We have a school in Tokyo which runs CBSC and IB. So the whole packaging was done. We found that it is a huge success. However, the foundation of all this is social entrepreneurship. And I'll make a full attempt to share with you how this all started. First of all, and we did this in SMU, Singapore Management University. We were called to talk about entrepreneurship. The first thing is, why does one want to be an entrepreneur? What are the social impacts and changes when you start becoming an entrepreneur? Then, of course, I'll talk about the case study of Global Indian Foundation and the lessons which we have, our humble lessons we've learned in the last 6-7 years after the Global Indian Foundation. So we did a quick research from our own side, and it was very interesting. What came out when we asked people, why do you want to be an entrepreneur? And these are good entrepreneurs, age, religion, caste, creed, agnostic. Asked a few people. People said, I want to be a millionaire. I want to earn millions. I want to make good things for my family, so on and so forth. Some folks came back and said, money is okay, but I want to be famous. I want to leave a legacy behind. I want people to remember me when I'm gone. Fame was one more thing which people wanted. Some people, just without saying it, it came out that they wanted to be a media's darling. They wanted to be right there in the newspapers, Times magazine, and whatnot. So people wanted fame. 3 most important things which came out. I move on. This is not the foundation social entrepreneur. I hope I hit right. Yeah, if you see this, this is not what makes a social entrepreneur. It does make an entrepreneur, but not a social entrepreneur. We found, and what we learned the hard way, is one strives to become an entrepreneur, primarily to make a difference in people's lives. Sounds like a cliche, ladies and gentlemen. But help people get to better lives, related back to our foundation. We found that NRIs, non-resident Indians, came back to various countries for 2-3 years. Their children got disrupted. They were studying a particular pattern, curriculum, came back to a country, the whole pattern changed. Shock. 3 years, they went back, the child suffered another shock. Because they had to come back and do the same pattern again, which they left behind. Now, researchers have shown us that children have tremendous stress levels, but we totally ignore that. So one ambience B, come back to ambience A. So what we did, we said we will provide continuity to families so that children do not get this double whammy once they come back and leave back. Will live a better life. Add value. We should become entrepreneurs so that we can add value to the society. Of course, you will make money. Money will come. This comes. But the fundamental is we should add value to simple things, make things speedier, less costly. Simple things. We should resolve discomfort. Now we are kind of entering into social entrepreneurship definition. We should resolve discomfort, pain, gaps in somebody's lives. We can make that better. So this is what we did. Our school said we will provide quality education at the most affordable price. To give you an example, international schools in Singapore are between 25 to 30,000 Singapore dollars per annum as tuition fee. Our school gives the same quality of education, I dare say, at $5,000, 1/5 the price. No wonder we have 4,200 students today. We had to grow to 3 campuses in Singapore, and we are the largest international school today. We have 33 nationalities in our school. And we still make money, right? So it's still, not for profit does not mean make a loss. We still have to keep the lights on. So the whole idea, the moment we did this, address a pain or a gap, make people's lives better, on and so forth, resolve discomfort, the money automatically came in. It became a suction. So with that backdrop, let us define from our side social entrepreneurship and what is business entrepreneurship. Allow me to read. Social entrepreneurship, a social entrepreneur is someone who recognizes a social problem and uses entrepreneurial skills or principles to organize, create, and manage a venture to make a social change. We are privileged to have some very renowned board members. You'll see the names. Mr. Narayan Murthy on our board, Infosys chairman. We have Mr. Inderjeet Singh, who's the member of parliament in Singapore, on our board. We have Mr. Abid Hussain, ex-ambassador to United States. We have Justice Dharmadhikari. People are beyond, if I may use the word, wealth, money. They told us, create an organization where you solve the problem, where you help Indians or Indian generations to move. Hence we called the word, we said we will flip a generation. So we started in 2003 a program called Flip a Generation program. Again, race, nationality agnostic. I'll give you an example. We have 2 campuses in Malaysia. We have 1,500 students there. 50 years back or 100 years back, a lot of Indians migrated to this part of the world as planters, rubber planters, menial workers, and they remained where they are. Because the next generation never got the education which would have taken the generation to the next level. So we started providing quality education to them to flip a generation. Now after 6 years, our slogan has changed to nurturing global citizens. Because we have 18,000 students in countries. So cannot be a flip a generation program. Now we are nurturing global citizens because we have 33 nationalities. So a business entrepreneur, so that was social entrepreneurship. Business entrepreneur is typically measured on profits and returns, and we can read all that. But a social entrepreneur comes and makes an impact to the society. So we've done a humble effort to make a change, and I assure you, it's easier to do social entrepreneurship because you have to never knock a door twice for an appointment. I'm an NPO, not-for-profit organization. It is very easy for me to get an appointment because people know I'm not trying to sell anything to them. People know that it's a not-for-profit organization. We will charity. Of course, you skinny down. I mean, all the things, the lavish lifestyle of corporate is not there, but it's very easy to deal with people. It helps. Everywhere. It's not visible, but social entrepreneurship, in a way, is everywhere. We don't see it. Corporates do it. In fact, I was privileged to be working for IBM after 13 years. IBM encouraged us. They say that you can take sabbatical, go and work for a charity. They retain your job. I went for the charity and never came back. That's a different issue. But it's always there. There are MNCs, corporates, SMEs, always doing social entrepreneurship. But it is not visible. Of course, there is government NGOs going on, public-private partnerships going on, missionaries like the Mother Teresa work which is going on in Calcutta. It's always there, but we don't see it. The reason we don't see it, we don't want to see it. We are so caught up in our rat race that we don't see it. So we are trying to create another portal or an organization which is called a Give Back program. I'm sure about 400 people here, if we humbly request them, can I get, sir, 3 hours of your time in a year to help a social organization? I bet my last dollar, 90% of you would say yes. But you don't know what to do, who to approach, is it the right organization? So the social entrepreneurship is everywhere. But the problem is we don't have a system to that, the goodness, channelize it into the right work. And that's what we are trying to do in Global Indian Foundation. Impacts and challenges. The impact is immense. I tell you, it's very gratifying. All of you must be doing gratifying jobs, work, running organizations, but doing social entrepreneurship is very gratifying. When you change the life of a family or a child and they go to Berkeley, the worldwide international baccalaureate topper Apurva Sachdev is from our school. Today she's in Berkeley. When we were trying to open a school in San Francisco, she helped. She was there already. So it's very gratifying to know that you took the life of a child and the whole generation has changed. Now Apurva's generation has changed. And we have I don't have those charts, we have students now in about 40 premier and Ivy League institutes from the Global Indian Foundation. Some of them, when they started 6-7 years back, didn't know where they'll go. So it's very gratifying. People's intellectual or social economic lives are impacted. Lateral thinking allows you to deliver better social objectives. There is no rat pressure. You do it at your own pace. Those challenges don't give you loan. I am, at the risk of sounding immodest, we are very proud to say we are a zero debt foundation. 7 years we didn't take a single dollar of loan. We still create surplus. And the 21 schools have all been created by the surplus which we plowed back. So banks never gave us loan. In a way, it became good for us because they always want balance sheets. The belief is only the Fortune 500 companies are good. It's not like that. Social entrepreneurship makes more impact in the lives of people, which is finally why we are here, than, I'm not trying to put them down, but than a very, very commercial company. And of course, perception is that if you are a social entrepreneur, good for nothing. You lost your job, hence you're doing an NGO. To change that. Some very smart people, very talented people from Ivy League, IITs, IIMs who are doing some fantastic social work, but people don't know about that. We were privileged to have Dr. M. Singhvi, a renowned member of parliament, a person who has changed the Constitution of India many times. He was our founder member with Atul. He gave us a vision. This was like 7 years back. He said the vision of the Global Indian Foundation would be such that heart is Asian, its mind is global, and its soul will always have excellence. Keeping this in mind, we are Malcolm Baldrige certified, ISO 9000 certified, OSHA certified. I'm very proud to announce this year we got the Asia Pacific Quality Award, the best in class school in the world among 1.1 million schools who participated. So being an Indian origin, I mean, all of us live in Singapore now, but we're all Indians. Indian origin company, a foundation starting in Singapore. We went to Mexico when we received the award. We were the only Indians there. People coming and asking us, oh, Indian education, very good. How, why? So at least we made a difference. And people think great mathematicians and great science guys. But I think we are great in literature also. People don't know that. But the vision and the mission to be the global role model for teaching and learning, and we can read that. I'm going to skip very quickly. What did we do which was different? I'm sure people would like to know that. A normal school does this. You know, a high population, youth bulge. People, I'll share some statistics. Yesterday I was invited to an investors forum about education industry. And they were all great there. And some very interesting statistics. $15 billion is the size of the education market in India. In 2020, it will go to $155 billion. Think about it. In India, 403 million plus population, which is under the age of 15. Nowhere in the world like that. Not even in China. But a very young population. You all know that. In 2020, it is going to go over half a billion, 500 plus. And the sad part is 40% of students drop out after class 10. As you know, 60% of India is rural. Just imagine that talent which we can embrace and to the world, not only to India, to the world. 40% of those kids drop out. Why? Because they can't afford the education. The parent wants to make them go and work. So I think there's a huge opportunity. If there are entrepreneurs here, you must seriously think about education as a social entrepreneurship. It can go wrong. I'll give you one example. Have you ever seen a school in India which is not full? Cannot. You open a school, it'll get full. Problem is, what is the quality of that school? Garbage in, garbage out. We need to give quality education to our children. I'll tell you, it will be a superpower in 20 years' time. What the difference we made is key growth drivers. I'm not going to read all of them. We created our own model, patented that. After doing 22 years of corporate, we are very careful of intellectual capital. And this really made the difference. The whole foundation model, if I'll quickly go through it, cultural centers, publications, education excellence, co-managed schools, let me point this, teacher training institute, CSR, corporate social responsibilities, resource centers. We created a complete model of education. We just cookie cut that. All our 21 schools look alike. Even the dress is alike. The teachers, if you class 8 mathematics quadratic equation in week 27, the same week 27, class 8, everywhere in the world will be doing quadratic equation. That's how we manage it. The whole curriculum is designed, same quality, and everything runs as if you move from one school to the other, child will not find a difference. Hence, less stress for the parents and the children. Milestones, I mean, I will quickly skip that. 2002 to 2009, we went from 35 students to 80,000 students. And only 9 of us in the headquarters. The whole foundation is run by 9 people. Footprint, quick understanding. 1 campus in Mount Sophia, which is Singapore, just behind the President's Palace. 21 campuses in just 7 years. You can see the footprints. We are in Vietnam, Thailand, Singapore, Malaysia, 2 campuses, Japan. Atul is in San Francisco, trying to get a Bay Area, calling it Global School for Silicon Valley. It's starting in 2010, so he's busy doing all that stuff. He couldn't come here. 1 footprint in US, and leaving to Dubai day after tomorrow. We are starting a school in Dubai for expat population in the Middle East. So there's so much to do, and I will urge, if anybody wants to work with us or partner with us, you're most welcome to talk to us. Glimpse of our schools. Singapore, 3 campuses, largest school, as I said, international school, 4,000 plus students. India, we have 8 schools now. Quick understanding of where we are: Pune, Gandhidham, Trichy, Jodhpur. Gandhidham, very interesting. We run a tribal school. Allow me a minute, I must tell you about this. The Gujarat government was not able to run a school because the tribals did not want the children to go to school. If they go to school, don't come and work for, gathering or fruit gathering or whatever farming they wanted to do. We embraced the school, funded the whole school. Today, 300 students who are tribals actually do archery, they do tribal work, but also speak English. And the government wants us to take 2 more tribal schools in Madhya Pradesh and Gujarat. But why was it possible? Because the whole idea of social entrepreneurship, the idea was not to make money. 48 lakhs is given, 48 lakhs, it's about 48,000, we use that word in India. 48 lakhs rupees was given as grant. School was in deficit for 15 years. Now, school makes a surplus of 8 lakhs. We run the same school for 40 lakhs. So the whole idea of social entrepreneurship in RSK was from tribals, IB topper. That's the spectrum we handle from the Global Indian Foundation. School in Japan, very urban schools, from tribal schools to very urban Tokyo schools, all full Indian expats. A lot of Japanese come and learn English and mathematics from us. Quick understanding of the patrons. Professor MG came in and he's the IIT Delhi chairman for 16 years. We are privileged to have him on our board as a president. Mr. Inderjeet Singh, Narayan Murthy, Hussain Saab, we have Ashok Suta, Shabana Azmiji. Why could we get these people with us? Because of social entrepreneurship. Whole idea was we were able to attract these tremendously renowned people to be in our board was that we told them that our intention is not to make profit. And that worked. Key features of a school, we do personality development, extracurricular, co-curricular activities, student counseling and career guidance, which is possibly not missing or done very well in other schools. I talked about Malcolm Baldrige. All our schools are embedded with Malcolm Baldrige quality education model. All our schools, they have to go through it. We have our own audit process, a complete quality department and an audit department. We run it like a corporate. It's a not-for-profit organization. We very quickly found that academics of a school is only 45% of the school dynamics. Leadership is very important. Planning, student, which is stakeholders, parents, teachers, and students. Their focus is very. So we have parent support group, student support group. We have quality circles. It is mandatory for every teacher to be a part of a quality circle. So they cannot escape. They solve the problems which happen in the school themselves. Management, we harvest all knowledge, all worksheets, all test papers, new ideas, curriculum is harvested. We have a complete paperless school. It's on an IT system called MyGIS, homegrown. We have 60 people in Nagpur doing complete development for us. We do our own ERP, education ERP. So if I open a school, Jamnagar tomorrow, the class 2 teacher has to do nothing. She will just go to ERP, download the whole curriculum, worksheets, lesson plans, and she's ready. He or she is ready. So we've completely automated the whole school system and we provide that intellectual capital. Thank you for coming, sir. Understanding of our results, we compared ourselves with the top 10 schools in India. That was the benchmark. Even though we are in 8 countries, we thought we'd compare it with India. Bar is GIIS, Singapore, and the red one is India. If you see, often than not, we are much better. These are the top 10 schools. And, the source is Education Initiatives 2008. It's an independent organization. So you can see recollection and recognition. Our students, definition of, description of scientific terms, our school is better. Knowledge of use, certification. So we found more and more, the more we did research, we found that we have something right. That's why the students are doing much better than top 10 Indian schools. Grammar, literal comprehension, extended reasoning, number sense, intermediate concepts, problem solving. I said we won the Excellence Award, National Quality Award, IMC this year, 2009. Also won the Singapore Quality Class Award, and of course we won the APQ Award, for which the whole community was honored in Mexico. Sachdev worldwide topper for IB. Gauri Shankar ranked second from amongst 400 students in Tamil Nadu. So on and so forth. So what the lessons we learned, I'm finishing in the last 2-3 minutes. The lessons we learned is we don't chase money. This follows us. This happens that you do the right thing, it's a matter of time, money comes back. Lessons in entrepreneurship. If you personally don't believe in the entrepreneurship concept, then don't take it. Don't let somebody else tell you what to do. It has to come from the heart. Startups begin always with small ideas. Let that grow. What we have learned is you have to dream big. If you have to dream, dream big. Think of where you want to reach. Just go. Make a milestone and just go there. Business plans become obsolete in 1 year. Changes have to be made every quarterly, monthly, even weekly at times. Nimble-footed. We all know this, right? Prepare to face ridicule from your closest friends and associates. I must tell you, this was not easy. When we two IBMers, Atul took the first leap, we were absolutely ridiculed. People said thought we lost our jobs. People were saying, you're going to go and teach in a school. What's wrong with you? Where will you go from there? And so on and so forth. So if you have an innovative idea, be prepared to take the ridicule, but you must believe in your idea and move forward. The day you will be successful, your enemies will emerge automatically. When we have a blog against us now, we have people saying all kinds of things against us. People, I just don't want to go there, but suddenly now everybody wants to pull us down. And we are okay with that. Working hours 24/7, and it goes without saying. Family life get affected. So I can speak for myself. I'm very privileged. My wife is wonderful. I got fantastic support from my kids and my wife, but family life does get affected. Skills, talents, knowledge, the X factor or the fix factor is all needed to become a good entrepreneur. With that, I will stop. But allow me, Catherine, will you help me? I have a quick 2-minute video, sir, with your permission. I will like to show that.
Excellent. Heroes and emerged. These have been made. We make them. We aspire to a new age with an innovative education system. Reaching out to the underprivileged. Building bridges of knowledge from tribal communities to first world countries. Believe in equality. Global Indian International School is making history and a journey to be remembered. It began in 2002 with a vision of being a global role model for teaching and learning. Today, we're in 8 countries with 31 research campuses. In Singapore, Malaysia, Japan, New Zealand, Thailand, India, and Vietnam. Our aim is to have 100 schools in 20 countries by 2018. Global Indian International School, an institution that promises to help your child excel. We give our students a hope for the future and lead them confidently towards it. We inspire our students to not only be the best scholars, but also help them excel in all spheres of life. Sports, art, music, dance, drama, yoga. With world luminaries who help shape our pupils into global leaders. Recipients of 3 world-class awards for education excellence, and still counting. We attribute scientific measure of profit by how much positive change we can bring to society. It's not luck, but the persistence to be the best that has made us exceptional and keeps us striving to reach beyond excellence.
Thank you. I'm done. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you very much, Mr. Manish. I think, well, we've been again restricted to one question, I think. Yes, the gentleman here had his hand up first.
My name is Narendra Singh, and thanks very much for an excellent presentation. I have sort of from a distance followed the growth of your organization, having lived in Singapore for the last 30 years. So is significantly more than I had thought it was. So I'm definitely more knowledgeable today about what you do. My question is more personal, and I have recently, especially in India, seen a lot of growth in the social entrepreneurship. I sometimes attend the NASSCOM summit in Bombay, and I find that there are a lot of these things being showcased as well. The concept earlier used to be that if you worked for an NGO, then your life was one of denial and deprivation. And therefore, your family paid a steep price in terms of not being able to go to the best schools, not going to the best universities, and things like that. So my question is, as a social entrepreneur, does it allow you to do good, make money for the organization, but does it also allow you to be well paid and well remunerated for your effort personally, so that your family doesn't pay the ultimate price of life of deprivation, which was earlier associated with NGOs?
Thank you, sir. That's a very important question, and I'm happy that somebody asked, because this is a main deterrent. Very smart, talented professionals are not doing social entrepreneurship. Our example, we are a not-for-profit organization. We are all salaried. So my quality of life has come down. IBM, I had a different quality of life, but we still, my kids still go to good school. We can still maintain a quality life. We don't get bonuses and all that which was available, but yes, a social entrepreneurship organization, we have to change, we have to completely break down this paradigm that you have to wear slippers and a khadi kurta to do social entrepreneurship. No. You can do not-for-profit organization, it's all about transparency. So Singapore has this large charity regulatory environment. We've passed the audits every day. Salaries are declared. We get salary, not too much, but we live comfortably and we create wealth and value for organizations. So I would urge you to break this paradigm, do social entrepreneurship, pay your colleagues very well, not like the bankers, but pay them well, and still move ahead, create value for life.
Well, thank you very much indeed, Manish, for what I think we could say it was an inspirational presentation and a lesson to us all to become more social entrepreneurial in our lives. And that's a bit late for me. I hope younger people here will certainly take this to heart, because I think it's the way of the future. When you hear a figure like 40% of the whole of the youth of India drops out of school, that's a scary figure. And anything we can do to improve that, I think, is very, very worthwhile. So thank you very much indeed for your presentation. Speaker is Mr. Ashish Kumar. He's a serial entrepreneur and executive director of Gdbs India Limited, and he's a majority shareholder since 2006. He's been involved, as you'll see from your write-up, in a collection of activities. He founded a telecom company, grew in 1 year into a multi-million-dollar business with offices in the US, Europe, and India, and he was smart enough to sell it off in 2004. So he is incidentally currently residing in the US, and I'm sure will make a very interesting presentation. Mr. Ashish Kumar.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I wanted to thank the organizers as well as my good friend George for inviting me to speak here. You have to forgive me, this is very new to me. I'm not a public speaking guy, I'm actually the scenes kind of guy. So when George invited me to speak, I actually had doubts. So when I spoke to my father, he said, you always chat up a storm at home, go aboard some other people, get out of the house and go speak. So here I am. You all look very tired and hungry as I am I. So I'm going to keep this short and try and move through this quickly. Background about myself, my name is Ashish Kumar. My father actually is S.P. Jain, so we have a pretty interesting history behind it. My father decided to cut off the Jain name when I was born because we don't follow Jainism, so we are actually Hindus, UP Banyas for people from India. Born in 16 May 1974, for 35 years of age. I was born in Calcutta, which was now called Kolkata in India, which is the eastern part of India. And since I graduated from the University of Rochester, Rochester, New York, I've actually been an entrepreneur. And my entrepreneur skills started when I was in college, when my father cut off my extracurricular activity fee. So I actually used to sell cigarettes, which I used to buy from the American Indian casinos, where I used to get them cheaper and then bring them from Buffalo and sell them at university so that I can fulfill my drinking habits at that time. I currently reside in United States. I'm actually close to Princeton, New Jersey. I moved there in 2002, actually for no reason at all, except for my wife is actually American. And she said, look, Ashish, I come from a very small town in upstate New York, so I'm not moving to Delhi after getting married with 14 million people. They actually only have 3,000 people there. So I decided to move to the United States in 2002. I've been living there. I hold a citizenship, actually a U.S. citizen. And then currently I have investment in energy, information technology, manufacturing, telecom, and finance. So I'll talk more about that as we go along in the presentation. Currently, the group companies that I have invested in is the flagship company called Bellis India Limited, where I'm the executive director and also majority shareholder. This actually landed up in my lap in 2006. My father is chairman managing director of the company since 1986. And in 2000, when Rolls-Royce decided to pull out of the industrial generation business worldwide, we had an opportunity to basically see what we can do with it. I've grown with this company since I was a little kid because my father actually worked with this company since 1965, so it's been almost 45 years with the business. But I had absolutely no interest, and 2006 when Rolls-Royce came to us and said, would you be interested to buy it? Said, let's take a chance. So in 2006 we had actually the majority shareholding. The company was incorporated in 1960, has been a leading steam turbine manufacturer up to 50 megawatts. We actually have about 3,000 turbines currently running in the market, predominantly in India, but we also have about 300 running worldwide. The company has various manufacturing set up in India, and we have offices all over India from a sales and marketing perspective. When I took over in 2006, we decided that we didn't have any more territorial restrictions from Rolls-Royce, so we said we should start now looking at the global markets. And since I already had a base in the US, the first thing we did was actually set up an office, a wholly owned subsidiary in the United States called Bellis USA. The second company, which is called Gov Controls India Limited, again, an old company which I took over in 2002. Basically, we actually offer repair and maintenance of hydromechanical governors as well as electronic governing systems. Purely hydromechanical governors, as some people might know, is basically the nucleus of a prime mover, which is basically controls the speed of the prime mover. And this is a very important part. So there is not many people in the world that do it. So we actually have, a value addition that we do. They're not, probably you can count number of companies in the world that actually manufacture hydromechanical governors or electronic governing systems. So this is actually a niche play for us. Intertool Engineering and Trading Company Limited was incorporated in 1997. Actually, when I came back from the US, this was my first company that I incorporated. We were the first company in India to actually import CNC machines, which is computer numeric control machines, to automate the manufacturing process. We've grown in size over the last 12 years. We now not only manufacture steam turbine blades, but we also are into the aerospace and the defense industry. Gentech Engineering Services Limited, basically incorporated in 2000. This was actually set up by me in 2000 to cater to the ERP market, which was at that time very popular, very upcoming in the Indian industry. And we have now recently changed. I actually sold the company in 2002 and then restarted with the same brand name, Gentech, which was basically my father's last name, Jain. And today we offer engineering services to customers worldwide. We're basically into the CAD/CAM CAE space. Goldberg Advisors actually is a fairly new company, incorporated in 2009. This was actually set up as a boutique investment bank. When I took over Bellis in 2006, we were looking at restructuring the business completely. So we were looking for funds. And as a small, medium enterprise, compared to the other companies in the US, where only large companies actually get the funds, we had a very difficult time raising money. So at that point, we felt that there was an intrinsic value in setting up a boutique investment bank, whereby we could cater to the small and medium-sized enterprises. The only companies in India that were getting funding were, large entities, which are the Tatas, the Birlas, the Reliances of the world. But small and medium-sized enterprises were not getting, any funding. So we thought this might be a good way of, offering these services in India, and especially with my relationship with US and UK private equity firms, we thought that we could actually add value here. Intellisys Technologies and Research Limited is basically incorporated in 2007. This was actually run by a friend of mine that I've known for a very long time. And the idea behind this company was to come up with IP, intellectual property, enough good products. India actually has been a services country for a long time. And we felt that, there's not enough being done in the research and development side. So this company has been set up to basically work with new technologies and come up with new products that actually companies can use to enhance their business. The first product that came out of this was a video conferencing product. This is a technology independent, a network independent, a device independent product. It actually allows you to do 37 simultaneous video conferencing calls without basically increasing your bandwidth requirements. It actually works on a multi-user interface, which is pretty new. It actually works on MPEG-4, and we've actually evolved the product. We are the first company in the world that can actually do 3D video conferencing. So this has tremendous amount of applications. It's far beyond what we've seen out there in the market. Quick background. This morning I asked George, you put me in between all these seasoned speakers. What am I supposed to talk about? And he said, people are here, in this summit are interested to hear how you did it. So this gives you a quick growth path. I actually got my first global experience in 1993 when I graduated from high school and went to the United States for my higher education. Before that, my only trip to abroad was Nepal, which is actually not really a trip to abroad. So at 17 years or 18, I was actually out there in the US, and I actually had a very fortunate childhood. So when I got to the US, and my first experience was, which I remember was, doing my laundry. So I took a laundry basket downstairs, and I said, what am I supposed to do with it? What are these machines, which I called, washing machines? Back home, everybody did, and all I had to do was, get ready, and the clothes were there on the bed. So that was my first global experience. Over the years, I got a back and forth, and then in 2002, I got married. I actually moved over to the US, and as I said, I'd only moved for love. So now I was in the US with nothing to do. All my businesses were in India, and I actually set up this telecom company. At that time, in 2004, the Indian government had allowed international long distance to be privatized, and we felt that when the license was out, there were only 5 companies that were given the license, and nobody was, talking to each other because the termination, everything was controlled by BSNL, but on the mobile side, you had the Reliance, you had AL, which was Bharti owned, you had Tatas, but nobody was talking to each other. So we actually created a business model whereby we set up a company right in between these guys, and we said, look, we're friends with all of them, so why don't you buy and sell from us? And that actually turned out to be, tremendous business for us. We had millions and millions of dollars floating through on a daily basis because we were at one time helping terminate over 110 minutes a month. So after that, in 2004, and then in 2006, when I got this opportunity to basically buy out Bellis, I've been now back and forth between US and India, been managing this, and now under current basically role, my job is to look at Bellis restructuring business, then taking it, to basically taking it public to the public market. The next slide basically talks about the changing of globalization entrepreneurship. I've over the last 12 years, I've actually done so many miles on an annual basis, pretty much travel about 250,000 miles a year. At that pace, I should invest in airlines and actually buy airlines out. What is globalization? Globalization refers to the interconnectedness of national economies and growing independence of buyers, producers, and governments in different countries. This is a very interesting concept. I think today we've gone beyond local economies. Today, entrepreneurs should think about global. When you're looking at doing business, I think you should not think about, should I start small and then gradually build it. I think a lot of people tell you, start small and then build it. But comes from a different mindset. I believe, think big, think big, do things, which are on a global scale, and you'll definitely get success. What is an entrepreneur? I think entrepreneurs are people that build business through innovative solutions to unmet customer needs. From that perspective, what I mean is that, if you have a good business idea and you have good technology, which is innovative, and actually, meet certain customer requirements which have not been met, I don't think you can go wrong anywhere. And entrepreneurs, as you know, don't only exist in startups, but also exist in large companies. I'll very quickly go through the phases of globalization, which actually, basically in 1830 and peaking in 1880, we were aided by railroads, ocean transport, resulting in the rise of mass production and trade. In 1900, which was peaking in the late 1920s, was fueled by electricity and modern technologies, early M&Es, which was multinationals. In 1948, peaking around 1970, we basically was the end of World War II, Marshall Plan, gradual reduction of trade barriers, especially under the GATT, which was the General Agreement on Tariffs of Trade. And then today, it's totally different. Today, it's all about emerging markets. People are now not only looking at focusing on the U.S., the European markets, looking at the BRIC countries, which is Brazil, Russia, and China. So today, I think the globalization has changed. We're not talking anymore about, local economies or local, situations in a particular market. Everything is connected. Today, China is the largest trade partner with the United States, and U.S. today is dependent on, other parts of the world, China, India, Brazil. Also, on the entrepreneur side, it's difficult to talk about this when I'm following Manisha's presentation. Means it totally gives you a very different perspective of entrepreneurship, on the social side. But I thought, I made this slide thinking that, entrepreneurs were there, in the 18th century from the farming age, and today, has diversified or developed into a conceptual phase. People like the Google founders today, you can achieve things very quickly. In 10 years, there's a very interesting, little email that I get from a friend of mine that works for Google. It basically says that Google has gone from a noun to a verb. Now, it means you don't say, when you want to search something, you don't say, I want to search something, you say, I want to Google it. So today, entrepreneurs actually have evolved over the years. You don't need to spend 50, 60, 100 years before you'll be successful. Again, if you have a great idea which meets customer requirements in today's technology as well as in the internet age, I think you can really, really succeed pretty quickly. I'll end the next slide basically talks about opportunity. I know this summit is about bringing small and medium-sized enterprises, and entrepreneurs together. I still feel that there are opportunities not only in the Asian markets, which is true, but I think with the economic slide, there's a very big opportunity in the North American market, especially in the U.S. Now, opportunities can range from a wide variety of industries. I'm actually going to just quickly talk about areas which are relevant to my investments and my portfolio. Renewable energy, I think, will be the next wave. I don't mean that, oil or coal is going to go away. It's not going to go. People tell you, then, they're bullshitting, basically. But having said that, over the next 50 years, we're going to see renewable energy, evolve and come along. We're going to see a lot of new technologies come out, which help the environment. We'll talk about a lot more new business models, whether it be in wind, hydro, solar, biofuels, biogas, hydrogen. I think this is going to evolve over the years, especially with President Obama's new renewable energy plan. I think the U.S. government is going to give a lot of thoughts on that. And there's an old saying that, when something, the U.S. needs, the world gets a cold. I think it's still very true, because that's going to drive a lot of, technologies around the world, especially in emerging markets. So I think there is an intrinsic value there. I think there's an opportunity for people who are doing new technologies in this space or in the renewable energy space. I think there's a market in the United States. Clean coal, 60% of the U.S. power generated is through coal. And I don't think that's going to go away because the U.S. and other parts of the world have abundant coal. Coal is readily available. And, the new power plants that are still going to be coal-based, but I think what people have started talking about with this environment conversation is that we need to do something about coal-based plants, and I think clean coal is where the next revolution is going to come. Carbon credits, I think, is, a lot of people say that the Kyoto Protocol is actually all crap. It's for these developed countries a way to hide the emissions. I think there is value in the idea. I just don't think that the way the people have done it is correct. I think what's going to happen over the years, what we're going to see is that local economies are first going to develop a model or a basis or an infrastructure for carbon credits. Once that's developed, I think then the countries are ready to trade with each other on the carbon credits. Today, when we go to set up a renewable energy plant or a biomass power plant, nobody knows about carbon credits. There's no knowledge, there's no information available, there's no guidance, there's no infrastructure. 99 out of 10 projects actually get rejected because people just don't know how to apply or how to. So I think what's happened is, and what's needed over the years is basically for this to be developed. And I think the U.S. is going to take the next step forward, as a major player in defining the rules of engagement for carbon credits, as we go along. The manufacturing space, I think, is very interesting. The U.S. for a long time decided to outsource most of its manufacturing. With the current economical debacle in the United States, I think manufacturing is going to come back. Now, when I say manufacturing is going to come back, I don't mean there won't be any outsourcing or there won't be any contract manufacturing. I think that there's a value in setting up a manufacturing plant within the United States, which is then backed by a manufacturing plant in India or in China. I think there is a value in there. I think we're going to see that a lot of happening over the next these 10 years with President Obama, because he comes from the blue-collar side. He says we need to build the workers' compensation. We need to build this thing up. We can't allow all manufacturing to go out. So I think we're going to see a lot of that play happening in the next couple of years. Information technology and telecom, always a great place to be. I think we're going to see more and more happening over the years. There is not only a value in setting up new ideas or new business information technology, but I think that with this economic debacle, I think there are opportunities for you to go out and actually acquire, make small acquisitions and have an inorganic growth that way. And then finance, even though we've seen what has happened with the greed around, I think this is going to stay. Wall Street is going to bounce back in the next 18 months, and then there'll be a lot more cross-border transactions. I think there is an opportunity for you to tap into the funds. I know people say that the funds are dried up, but I think eventually they'll come back. So I think you should look at, looking into funds will develop over the next course of maybe 18 to 24 months. And also, I think there is a opportunity in investment in public markets in the United States. There are good value, there are good companies that exist out there that actually you can invest in from that perspective. My last slide actually talks about opportunities with the group. We are, from a manufacturing company, is now moving towards becoming a kind of an EPC contractor. We're going to be setting up a power plant starting in India and then expand that role into other parts of the world. We're actually looking at setting up a 2-megawatt thermal power plant using rice husk as a base, as a fuel. And then over the next, if that project is successful, we're then going to start rolling that out as a model to other parts of the world. So we're looking for joint venture partners in that space. We're also looking for acquisition targets, companies, technologies that we feel will add value to our current portfolio. Also looking at setting up right now, we're in the process of setting up 2 into 40 megawatt power plant as an EPC contract in India. And again, we'll start looking at expanding that business into other parts of the world. Currently, the product size that we have at Bellis is basically, we go up to 15 megawatts. So we're looking also tying up with a technology partner where we can license the technology to manufacture larger turbines up to 50 megawatts. We've been looking at China as a big partner for that, and hopefully through this conference we might be able to meet some people who might be interested to do that. Again, we're also looking at an acquisition or a JV for pumps. We've recently diversified our portfolio, and we're now looking at the oil and gas and the refinery business. We're API 611 and 612 compliant, and smaller steam turbines. We're actually the single largest manufacturer of small steam turbines in the world. We have roughly about 1,300 installations around the world, and we feel that that with an acquisition of a pump or a JV, this will help us. India has a funny rule. Any oil and gas company that's government owned actually does not allow us to bid directly for the end, for the project with the end user. We actually have to go through a pump manufacturer or a compressor manufacturer to be able to bid. So I think acquisition or JV in this makes it a strategic play for us. On the manufacturing side, as I mentioned, we were looking for joint manufacturing or contract manufacturing partnership. We've now evolved as a company, and we've gone to the aerospace and the defense side. India has now one of the largest defense budgets that we've seen. The Indian government actually has allocated about $100 billion in defense, especially with the things we're seeing around the border of Pakistan. I think the defense budget is going to keep growing every year. So there is a requirement, and 21% of that actually has to be done in the country. We have an policy now in the country where $21 billion worth of manufacturing has to be done in the country. So we feel that we're looking for partners that want to play with that in that space with us. On the information technology side, we're looking for currently in the strategic business partners for our video conferencing product, as well as telecom partners for 3G mobile applications. I think 3G is, as we all know, the next phase, and there's going to be a lot of applications on the mobile side that are going to be needed. That will be the next wave in the telecom sector. So we are well positioned in that, and we're again looking for partnerships in that. And then in the end, on the finance side, we're looking for cross-border transactions. So anybody looking for help, wanted to set up a company or a partnership in India, we actually have a company that can help you do that, can set it up, go through the hoopla government. I heard Michael say that there was a lot of problems. Probably his partners are not the right one. That again is us something about choosing your partners in a country where you work or set up new businesses. So we can help with doing that, and then also help if you need capital for that particular project. So in the end, that's it. I want to just thank again George organizer for inviting me, and Mr. Chairman.
Pleasure. Thank you very much, Ashish. One or two questions before we close the lunch? Anybody from the floor? I suspect you're all hungry. But in that case, may I ask you all to join with me in thanking Mr. Ashish once again.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I think Uncle George, as I called him, he's an old friend of my father's, and talking about Asian values, I can't stop myself calling all the dear old friends of my father Uncle, so you'll have to forgive me for that. Thank you very much for the great introduction. I think you've oversold me, but that's fine. So, my presentation today, as the title says, is about investing in Portugal, starting with my own personal story. The picture of the beach you see there is real. It's not a stock imagery from any online company. It is the beach called Retinhal Beach, which is where our development is in Portugal. Right, start with my background. Born and brought up in Singapore, as Uncle George said. My family is an entrepreneurial family. My father, in fact, my grandfather came over to Singapore in the 1920s from South India, from Tamil Nadu, and set up a business selling spices. It was a provision shop, which is what my father then grew into a trading business, trading in other products, including jaw sticks, and other products that Indian people needed in Singapore and Malaysia. And I must say, growing up in a family with an entrepreneurial background, obviously did affect what I thought about life in general. And And even if I had decided at that time that I was going to go my own way, my father definitely gave me a very valuable piece of advice. He said, whatever you do, you should get qualified first. In fact, he wanted me to become a doctor. When I left school, unfortunately, I didn't make that dream, as I didn't want to become a doctor. So I was a bit of a rebel, I guess you could say. However, I did go my own way. I went to London to pursue electronic engineering, which is what I wanted to do, for no other reason apart from the fact that I love physics and math. So there you go. Interestingly, it was very interesting hearing Ashish talk about arriving after having had a protected life, and that is true. I mean, it's probably the easy decision to stay in the comfort zone of a protected home in Singapore, which is what I had. I didn't have to, driver drove us to school. We had, cook, and everything was taken care of, you could say. So it was quite an experience, and again, thank my parents for allowing me to experience that, life in London on my own, which taught me a lot. Anyway, after I finished electronic engineering, I decided to do chartered accountancy with Pricewaterhouse, as it was known at the time in London, and ended up working there for 6 years because I went on into management consultancy for a couple of years, and which is where I met my husband, in fact. I mean, at the end of my stint at Pricewaterhouse, but I'll come back to that part later. Pursued an MBA in London Business School as well. Today, it's rated #2 business school in the world, according to the latest Financial Times rankings. So, a very well-established school and well-known school. And really, it was during my MBA that I would say that any idea of doing something for ourselves really evolved and became concrete. As I said, I met my husband in '98, and interestingly, we both left Pricewaterhouse very soon after that, and we decided that we would do something for ourselves, start a business. But in that process, we actually assessed various businesses to different levels, and actually used my MBA to help me, actually. I mean, some people say entrepreneurs are born, not made, perhaps. But I think, the credits, the subjects I took during my MBA definitely helped me structure a lot of what I was about to do. I majored in entrepreneurial subjects, new venture development, financing an entrepreneurial business, managing a growing business. So I would be lying if I said the MBA didn't help me in any way become an entrepreneur in that sense. And what happened after that was really, we, in the process of assessing various business plans, and it wasn't just real estate we looked at IT-enabled services businesses, delivered to companies in the UK, based out of India, for example. We looked at digital copywriting businesses. There was a whole host, a wide spectrum of businesses we looked at. And I wish I could say that you are in charge of all the decisions that come to you in your life, but I think there is such a thing as kismet, because I don't think I ever thought we would end up in Portugal. That is the truth. Beautiful country that it is. It was not on our plans. What happened was in 2001, we got asked as consultants with the view of forming a company to develop a piece of real estate in Carvoeiro, which is close to the central Algarve. We got asked to assess the viability. A couple of guys had an option to purchase a piece of land and to develop it, and we went over to have a look at this opportunity. And what we found was a great opportunity in the Algarve in general, because there were some infrastructure improvements happening, and I'll come on to that in a later slide. And we ended up buying a townhouse and starting a business in our garage. That's actually what happened. So, you know, I think one of the lessons I would say is business opportunities come your way unplanned a lot of the time, I think. And a lot of it is to do with having a passion for that business and not just picking something which, you know, your friends tell you to. I think, you know, one of the earlier speakers said, you know, you got to listen to your heart and not just do things that other people tell you to. So, in the meantime, we've had another couple of businesses. Ireland, again, half an hour is too short to talk about everything, but you know, we have a business interest in Ireland, in West Cork, another beautiful part of the world. And Viva Vino just started last year in Singapore and Malaysia, but I'll come on to that as well later. I'm married, as I explained. The business is with my husband, and I have 3 children, aged 7, 5, and 3, who are little Portuguese children. They were all born and being brought up in the Algarve in Portugal now. And the Portuguese refer to them as Algarvios, which means little Algarvians, which is cute, I think. Right, I thought it'd be useful to first position ourselves. Where is Portugal exactly? Portugal sits right at this end here. Sorry, it's not a very steady pointer, but right at the end of the Iberian Peninsula. It has kilometers of coastline facing the Atlantic Ocean. And while it may not be the westernmost coast, because I think Ireland has the westernmost coast in Europe, Portugal is certainly quite far out west. This just shows a closer-up picture of Portugal. And one of the reasons why I put up the slide is to show the location of Portugal is really in the south of Europe, where the weather is warmer. I mean, Singaporeans take the warm weather for granted, but if you have spent any time in London, I've spent 12 years in London, it is cold and grey most of the time, okay? And summer doesn't last very long. So for the people, for the Northern Europeans, going to the south of Europe is a big bonus on holiday and any time they can get in the sun. And you know, Portugal in particular is very well positioned for this market. The south of Portugal especially, where we are, the Algarve, has over 300 days of sunshine, which is, I mean, compared to say maybe 1 month maximum that Ireland or Britain might have, is a lot. And certainly the further north you go to Scandinavia, you know, even Germany, this is quite a big deal. Right. I thought I'd show us Lisbon, the capital city, beautiful historic city. If you've never visited it, do take a chance, you know, take an opportunity when you're next in Europe. And I thought this was interesting just to put it all in scale. From the same height is around the size of Singapore. Greater Lisbon is around the size of Singapore. Just to give you down the scale of Portugal is seen as a small country, but when you travel north to south, it's around 700 kilometers. So, quite a long country. Right, then the next couple of slides show you how Portugal is currently branding itself. This wasn't how it was branding itself when we arrived there. But this gives you an idea of what the country has, or, you know, they did a series of posters associating a very strong piece of scenery, like a beautiful beach or, you know, cliffs, sea, with a famous Portuguese personality. And I think most of the people in the room know who this is. This is José Mourinho, world famous coach. And Portugal has a number of personalities. I think in football, which is one of the national religions, really, you know, they've done very well. Cristiano Ronaldo and José Mourinho are both Portuguese. And the other thing that's interesting here is the fact that Portugal brands itself as Europe's West Coast. This was an interesting positioning for them because there is the south of Europe, which is the Mediterranean, and, you know, people generally associate the south of Europe with Italy, south of France, south of Spain. But Portugal really has its own identity within Europe, which is really the west coast of Europe. And this has a lot of knock-on positioning points, which I will cover throughout the presentation. And this is one of them. The coast does get a lot of wind in different times of the year, especially if you travel down from Oporto along the coast all the way down. You will see quite a few wind farms now. The slide says, if you can't read it, Portugal, the fastest growing European country in wind energy. Renewable energy is one of the strong commitments that Portugal is making. Because of the hours of sunshine they have, the amount of wind in certain parts of the coast, and the fact that they're surrounded by sea. So it says 43% of our electricity comes from renewable energy sources. No wonder we worship the sun, the sea, and the wind. And I thought that was really something for me so Indian, you know, worshipping Surya Bhagwan and Vayu Bhagwan and Varuna Bhagwan. This is, you know, we should. We're going back to kind of a spiritual connection with nature, which is, I think, wonderful and interesting. Right, so on to Martinal specifically. Finding the right business partner. It's a little bit of a joke because he's actually my husband, so, you know, my mother was aghast when she saw the slide. I obviously ran through the slides with her and she said, but he's your husband. I said, I know, that's the joke, don't you get it? But obviously, you know. But the statement does hold a lot of importance to me because I think starting a business with your business partner is the most important, you know, that's the most important phase in starting up a business. You've got to do it with the right business partners. And there's obvious disadvantages, you know, you're both working for the same business and you're both giving all your life to it. I think Manish mentioned earlier, you know, the children and the family do suffer. But you know what, I mean, I guess I grew up in the family business and I saw my parents working very hard to make it happen for us and to give us a better future. And I think to have a common goal with one's life partner in business as well actually makes it a little bit easier. And the children, I think, understand it. Of course, they complain, they don't see us very often sometimes, but they see this fantastic hotel and resort being built. My little daughter exclaims from the window every morning, Mama, look, the resort is almost built, the hotel is almost finished. And, you know, they do, it becomes part of them. So, you know, it's a great thing. He is also an MBA from Hochschule St. Gallen in Switzerland. He's Swiss-German. And I think that was another interesting connection. Singaporeans and Swiss, I think, have a lot in common. And, you know, we shared common values, which made it easier to think of this business together. So, I think I've covered some of this. I'll touch on the infrastructure improvements that were taking place by 2003. What was happening at the time we actually came to 2001 when we came, there were three key infrastructure improvements happening for the Algarve. One was the east-west highway giving the Western Algarve better connectivity with Faro Airport. Faro Airport is, well, I can't see it on the screen anymore. It's a further east than Central Algarve, and it's 120 kilometers from Sagres, where we are, to put it in perspective. And connectivity was very important for the development of tourism in our area. And the highway, they started building it. It wasn't just a plan on paper. So that was a very important infrastructure improvement for the Western Algarve. The other interesting improvement that was happening was the north-south highway was being constructed. Now, it may seem unbelievable to you, but it is true that Lisbon didn't have a good connection to the Algarve until 2003. It used to take many more hours for even Portuguese tourists from Lisbon who wanted to come down to the Algarve on holiday, hours, 6, 7, 8 hours in some cases. Now you can make it in, well, the Portuguese make it in 2 hours. They're very fast drivers. Yes, 2.5 hours, let's say. So obviously another important point. And Faro Airport, the Algarve's own airport, was doubling its capacity from 4 million passengers to 8 million passengers a year. So, I mean, it wasn't really rocket science that the Western Algarve was full of opportunity, because, I mean, it had the basics for a great quality tourism product. Good sunshine, not too hot in the summer. Actually, it has a microclimate in the winter, where it's slightly warmer than further east. A lot of protected parkland, lots of great beaches with white sand and blue waters. I mean, the list goes on. There's, and I'll show you some of the slides later, which cover the other, ability to do sports in the area. So, it was a simple decision, actually, for us to make this our life project. So here I've tried to cover the first steps. As I said, we bought a little townhouse and started our business in the basement with a table and a laptop, literally. We started to learn some Portuguese. We went through the due diligence phase of analyzing the property market, the resort market. We looked closely at around 20 opportunities, I would say, to varying degrees. We had to do the networking, make the contacts that would help us make it happen in Lisbon as well as in the Algarve. We had to understand the planning framework, the legal framework, frameworks that applied. The culture, as we all know, the culture is the way we do things around here. And it's different in every country, and I would say even between the north and the south of a country, east and west. And this was a very important part of our learning process. How is business done in Portugal, and in the Algarve in particular? Yes, and the contacts with the local town hall, as well as the Ministry of Tourism in Lisbon. So these would be, I would describe, the first important steps that we took in setting up our business. The image shows a beautiful scene from Évora, by the way, in the Alentejo in Portugal. I just thought it was a nice scene to show, but it isn't from Vila do Bispo, just out of interest. This was just interesting. This was our little townhouse. And I've shaded the little basement where we started our business. It's in Lagos. Right, so this is the corner of Portugal where we are. I don't know whether the image shows how beautiful it is, but it's a beautiful area. Martinhal Beach is that long stretch of beach you see in front of the development. That's our development as it is today. And that's about 500 meters of beautiful sandy beach. That's the town of Sagres, a little fishing port down there, and surrounded by the Atlantic Ocean. It's quite an overwhelming feeling. And the area is heavily associated with Infant Dom Henrique, who really, he was called the navigator because he set up a series of navigation schools in the area to really spearhead Portugal into the age of discoveries, which is why these guys set off in their little caravellas to discover the world, really, or to enable the West to discover the rest of the world, I should say. But it's amazing, if you actually see one of these caravellas, chapeau to these guys who sailed out into the unknown in them, because they weren't very big and they didn't look very stable, I must say. But they made it all over, around terrible capes and, you know, through stormy weather. The area has a fortress, a very historic fortress as well, in Sagres. And this is another point about the Portuguese culture which we discovered. It's a lot of understatement. I mean, if this kind of area existed in America with the richness of culture and history, you know, there'd be a museum, interactive, three-dimensional, you know, hoo-ha showing Dom Henrique and Vasco da Gama and caravellas. But in all honesty, people don't even realize that that's a fortress. They say, well, what's that white building out there? And they say, yeah, it's the fortress, go and have a look. And it's stunning, and I think this was one of the things we learned, is that there was a great marketing opportunity as well for us, because we as foreigners see much more in another country than the locals do, I think. There are many times, because local people, you know, they know it all. They know how it works. They know Singaporeans don't talk about their food, do they? No, but it's great, you know. But I think it's there is usually an opportunity, because, you know, you're able to see things that the locals don't anymore. Yeah, and then some other sites. There's a Knights Templar Church in Guadeloupe, which is 5 minutes drive away. Another 5 minutes drive up towards that cape takes you to another fortress, and to the southwesternmost point in Europe. It's called the Cape of St. Vincent, Cabo San Vicente, where there is a lighthouse. And it is the southwesternmost point in Europe. Again, you stand there and you get an amazing feeling, ocean all around you, and you see some huge, in the far distance, some huge cruiser ships either coming in to the Mediterranean or going out towards America, or across the Atlantic anyway. And some images to show you the beauty of the area. This is Sagres. Harbor. This is the Cape of St. Vincent. As you can see, it's in an amazing location. Beautiful beaches. One of them is Martignal. The other is another beach in the area. But there's literally tens of these kind of beautiful beaches and scenery around the place. And the Portuguese, another thing, like Singaporeans, they also like good quality food, differently spiced, obviously. But there's a very high quality of food, seafood, especially fish and wine. As you can see, oysters. I mean, you know, you can eat very well when you come to the Western Algarve. And this is, I think, another part of making a great touristic product, is good food and wine. So, development strategy, just to show you, this is what Martignal looked like when we arrived, and we decided that we would have one phase of exclusive townhouses and private villas with pools, and another phase, seek a joint venture partner for resort and hotel. Now, this had already planning. It had, you know, some planning, and the infrastructure had already been laid. So we actually took over an existing project. That's also important to understand. And again, I thought it was interesting, starting up the first phase, we had to redo the sales office, make it more cozy, marketing-oriented, rather than the shack that existed there before. And again, we had to do it in stages. We couldn't just blast money left, right, and center. Marketing costs money, as we all know it, but we have to choose carefully what we spend it on. And financing the first phase. Yes, financing is never easy. We actually negotiated an interesting contract with the seller. It also helped that the seller was controlled and 51% owned by a Swiss. It was a Swiss-American ownership that existed at the time, because we could understand each other in coming up with a contract. Again, a very important thing. I think, negotiating a contract is not just about legal points. There needs to be an understanding between the parties. And this, it did help, I will not lie, that even though it was under Portuguese law, that, my husband being Swiss and talking to a Swiss owner. And yeah, we, staged the payments over 5 years, with the first payment not being due within the first month. Again, it was based on trust, as you can imagine. Therefore, we were able to invest our first monies in marketing and the first construction of show houses. And really, the sales of the houses, or plots with projects, as we call them, either completed houses or plots, would finance our first payments. I know, it sounds very risky, and it was, but we were young and foolish. So, but we made it, that's the good news. No risk, no reward. So, but I would like to go back to the fact, what Manish brought up earlier, you've got to have your heart and soul in it. Business plans can be written, of course they can be written. You need to know whether you're going to be able to make it work, but what is important is that you have your heart in the business that you're doing, and actually not think about the money. I know it sounds stupid, but it is true. I could completely identify with what you're saying. So some of the first things we had to do, find the right architects, find the right construction company. Again, in a new area, I wouldn't say it's that easy, but it takes a lot of hard work and research and talking to people, networking. And our first marketing material, this is how we marketed it: the beach at your doorstep with the advantages of living in a luxury resort, okay? And one other thing I might not have made clear is that there's a protected natural park all around us in Martinhal. Kilometers and kilometers of it. I mean, one great thing Portugal did was to protect a lot of its coastline by declaring it as natural park, so as not to commit the mistakes that have happened in the south of Spain and south of France. Because if you go to the south of Spain and south of France, many of the areas are completely overbuilt and built too close to the sea. Whereas, one great thing we have, and one of the reasons why we invested in Martinhal, is because there's all the area around us is protected. First phase takes shape, initial architectural drawings to reality. This villa is a 3-bedroom villa with its own pool and garden. Again, we were bringing luxury to the Western Algarve. I mean, people did think we were crazy, building a very expensive villa in Sagres at the time. They didn't see it, but it was so clear to us that this is what this resort needed, not more 2- and 3-star places, but 5-star quality. And we started winning some awards after that. That was the first house. In fact, that was a very important step, that house. It was the first time people saw the quality we were able to deliver. Again, people need to touch and feel, not just hear the entrepreneur speak about what your dreams are, because some dreams actually don't come to fruition. But once we completed this house and decorated it, we actually sold out pretty much within a year the rest of our first phase off plan. So, this was a very important step, and it enabled us to get some accreditation because of the awards we started winning. So we won 1 award in the first year, 1 in the second year, 1 in the third year, and then, by the 4th year, we just won more. So, this was an important step. Phase 2. As I said, in the initial development plan, we said we would joint venture. I mean, we could have joint ventured for the whole place, but you need to start making some money first. So that's why we divided the development into 2 phases. While we sought a joint venture partner, we would carry on with our first phase. And Nigel and Nicholas were not big hoteliers in the UK, but they had an exclusive collection of very boutique small hotels, estate manors that they'd converted into a hotel, or an old eye hospital in Exeter, converted into a boutique hotel. So they had class, they had style, they were developers and hoteliers, which is very important for us because we wanted to align all interests between the development side and the operation side. We didn't necessarily want to bring a Sheraton or a Marriott in on a management contract, apart from the fact that the property wasn't suitable. You know, it's not a Sheraton or a Marriott. It's much more suitable for a boutique-style hotel. And they had one other very interesting thing. They had created a brand called the Luxury Family Hotels in the UK, very successful brand. Because luxury and family in the UK, again, to understand the setting at the time, didn't mix. If you wanted to go on holiday with your kids, you went to the Best Western Lodge or Holiday Inn or somewhere where they wouldn't mind the kids running and screaming around the place. But, you know, they attacked the market from another angle, which enabled people with money. I mean, people were having kids later in life, the professionals in the UK. 30-something professionals having kids later in their lives still wanted to have luxurious holidays and eat well, eat haute cuisine, not burgers and chips, as one would in Disneyland, but, you know, a proper meal in the hotel they were staying in. And to have the children well entertained. Again, this was an unmet demand that they managed to meet. So this just shows some of the press that they've managed to receive in the UK, but just to show you some of the beautiful properties they had renovated and managed. And we then came together with them to create a new brand and a new image, Myrtinial, Europe's finest luxury family resort, Sagres Algarve. Again, it was about aiming high. I mean, it might sound too pompous to you, but we were aiming on that level of Europe's finest luxury family resort. Again, this just shows you the architects that we brought together. We did a joint venture partnership between leisure specialists from Lisbon with Conrad and Partners from the UK. Again, it's important to attach some top brands to your product, and Conrad and Partners of the Sir Terence Conrad fame was a very important part of doing something different at Myrtinial. You can't see this slide for some reason, but you know, I was going to tell you about how we, the strategy for the sales in the second phase was really to sell each house. The owner gets the freehold, it's not timeshare, and we would rent it back for 10 years on a fixed rental guarantee, 4% return. Is there any reason why we can't see the slide? Or? Anyway, sorry, it's the Mac as opposed to the PC that I had. This was a very important part of our financing plan. So we have, in effect, over 100 investors owning freehold. If you count the first phase as well, over 150 investors owning either an off-plan property for now, they haven't completed yet, or owning the freehold, who will rent their property to us, most of whom will rent a property to us in a fixed contract for 10 years, so that we as operators, hoteliers, if you like, can spend the marketing money to you know, run a successful business, because a small hotel isn't going to enable you to do that. We do have a small hotel as well, 38-bedroom hotel in the front of the property. But the rest of the units are houses and villas. Again, it's a different concept. It's more suitable for families. And we have tennis courts, paddle tennis courts, 3 restaurants, a spa, gym, all that as well, shop. I thought it was interesting, this, when we started and where it is now. This is from the front, the construction in progress, taken 2 months ago. This is an artist's impression for our marketing material to show you the different areas. So as I was saying, there's a spa, 4 different pool areas, sports club, paddle tennis, tennis, multi-purpose court, shop, hair and nail salon, And some images to show you. I mean, this is what sells at the end of the day. This does not exist in Europe that easily. Having a hotel bedroom so close to the sea in a protected area. Again, we've gone for very different concepts. These are the wooden, they're proper houses, but they're with a wooden facade, thermo wood, it's called, from Finland, treated for heat and all the other elements that we will face out there. Showrooms, houses, just to give you an impression. Again, the theme is barefoot luxury. It's not about glitzy five-star luxury, because that exists in Lisbon or in the cities, in Paris, New York, but this is a beachfront property. And it's not about cheap, it's about understatement, really. And this is just to show you some of the PR we've been written about in the Financial Times and how to spend it in the local Financial Times, the Diário Económico, Expresso, very highly regarded Portuguese newspaper, and various other newspapers in the Irish press. Right, current challenges, assembling a great team. Now we're going into the operations business, so it's about making a hotel product work, and that relies on people. Fortunately, because of the efforts of the Ministry of Tourism in Portugal, there is a large pool of well-trained people in Portugal and hotel schools, but it's giving that, we believe in synergies and creating the ultimate team with a multinational group. Sorry, yeah, it's almost at the end. And this is just to show you the wine part of our story. Portugal is actually the 5th largest producer of wine in the world, but nobody knows about it. Again, I think, it's because it's a fragmented industry. In any case, what we have recently started doing is importing Portuguese wines into Singapore and Malaysia. Again, it's because of the passion. We love it, so we're doing it. That's my mother, my father, and another Uncle George, who's a business partner as well. We're doing it together, and if anyone's interested in wine, please do contact them. They're here ready to show you the wonders of Portuguese wine. Investment opportunities, I would say, I hope I've given you a good idea of what potential tourism in the Algarve has, and we can talk about it. Please do contact me. There are various opportunities to assess, and different levels of, it depends on what financing wants to be put into it and how. This slide just shows all the different sports that one can practice at Martinhal: surf, windsurf, blow karting, golf as well. There's 30 golf courses in the Algarve, top quality golf courses, sailing. I've put this slide up because Portugal actually has a representative in Singapore, Dr. Carlos Moura, who's actually in the audience today, working for a body called ICEP, which is the equivalent of the Economic Development Board in Singapore. And so any information you'd like or investments you'd like to make in Portugal, please do talk to Carlos. And this was just to show that Portugal is a great springboard to reach Brazil and Angola and Mozambique, which are emerging countries as well, but especially Brazil, because again, it's about culture and getting to understand culture in a local way is not that easy. Any help is great. So thank you very much. Please do contact me, my email address, my phone number, by LinkedIn, Facebook. I do have a 5-minute film, which I think would be nice to end with, if you allow, the film on Martinhal.
Set within a protected area of natural beauty, you could not wish for a more exclusive, relaxing and uplifting experience. Walk through scented gardens directly to the beach and leave behind your elegant home. Martinhal is a very special place.
So close, so different, so unique. A short plane trip away, Martinhal rests within Europe's most unspoiled paradise, Western Algarve, Portugal. A A brand new highway connects Faro's International Airport to Martinhal. You can barely feel the 1-hour drive. The property is also a step away from historical sites, from where the world, as we know it, was discovered. Explore and wonder. The Algarve has so much to offer. A cultural past, unmatched beauty, booming commerce, lively bars, excellent restaurants, and the best nightlife. Silves, Lagos, Monchique and Faro are right there. Martinhal is secluded, yet so close.
Martinhal occupies an unmatched position on the beach within a protected national park. It is the perfect site for the perfect development. This unique place encompasses a hotel, spa, restaurants, townhouses and villas. Martinhal is a Four Winds resort, which is synonymous with quality and professionalism. It has the pedigree to become one of the world's great luxury resorts. Stage 1 of the project has been a success. Martinhal residences sold quickly.
Architectural design to its limits. The key element to the whole concept is low-density land use. The 129 homes are surrounded by never-ending gardens. You can hardly tell they are there. There are 3 options to choose from. Garden cottages, where kids can roam free. Ocean view houses, set in the front row overlooking the ocean. And the bay view houses, the most spacious and secluded. Conceived by the international architects Conrad and Partners, headed by Matthew Wood, all expectations have been surpassed. A truly perfect place was designed.
Inside and outside. Detail is what makes a design successful. Martinhal epitomizes meticulous detail. The interior design has been envisioned to maximize life quality, light and space. Each house is orientated to fully grasp its surroundings and to take full advantage of its environment. Elegant simplicity and minimal magnificence are the goals.
Set in heaven. Hotel Martinhal is the perfect combination of hospitality and service. All rooms have private terraces and ocean views. In terms of architecture, Hotel Martinhal is the jewel in the crown of the resort, which was conceived and designed by Conrad and Partners. Graceful and lavish, with an oriental minimal feel. Purchase your piece of paradise. As a buyer of one of the Martinhal resort properties, you can live in your investment or obtain top rental yields as well as long-term capital growth. Escape and be totally pampered. Set in a secluded and tranquil garden of its own, Martinhal Spa offers a complete range of massages and treatments. Relax and recover from daily stresses.
Activities at Martinhal are endless. The village square for rendezvous, sports club, children's club, where you can park your kids while you do your thing, outdoor swimming pools, beach club, playgrounds, tennis and paddle tennis, diving, football, fishing, windsurfing, cycling, jogging, horseback riding, surfing. Our famous beach and world-class location. Flawless sunsets, radiant nights, spectacular days, a new dawn on the edge of the ocean. Retinal Resort, made specially for you.
Well, there you have the details of how a homegrown entrepreneur has spread her wings and gone to a place like Portugal. Incidentally, I have been there, but it never had the sort of development when I went there about 18 years ago. And I'm glad it took a Singaporean to come up with this concept. We have time for one or two questions. Does anybody have any questions that you would like to ask Ms. Tern? She is just wanted very badly by the media for interviews. She is fluent in Tamil as well as in Mandarin, so I think rusty in Mandarin, but still. So if there are any questions, yes, the lady in white.
Sorry, I didn't mean to give you a challenge, okay?
Okay, it's been 20 years since I left school, but it's okay.
Okay, great, thank you. 我叫叶长华，我是做国际教育交流的。那明年如果我们有一个夏令营的计划，可不可以帮你们的那个旅游胜地区安排这个计划呢？
Yes. I think the question is, again, what was your business? I mean, they would like to come and visit the resort and do, I didn't catch what your business was in, sorry. Education, yeah, yes. So they'd like to come and do this in our resort. Well, we would love to, this is, you know, throughout my life, I've had people saying, now you speak in Mandarin. It started with my dad since kindergarten, so it seems to continue now. I'm 39 and still, you know, sweating here. I will, 你好，我很久没讲华语，我都忘记了，我I should, you know, 练习不够练习，对不起。But you're very welcome. Sorry. I did my A-level in Mandarin. It's embarrassing, but you know, my brain is full of Portuguese now and German. So I would love to welcome. We would love to welcome you. Obviously, we have to check with the conference facilities we have and all the rest of it. We have 2 small conference facilities. Because we're targeting the luxury family market. It's mainly about family holidays and couples holidays, but I will come and meet you and give you my card.
Yes.
Okay?
Okay, thank you.
So, 谢谢你.
Thank you very much.
Well, there you are. You have to practice a little bit more, maybe.
Can't do everything, you know?
Yes. Any more questions? Yes, the gentleman there.
I'm Austin Moraes from Channels Asia, Asian Channels.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Vanakkam. If you're going to talk to me in Tamil and test my Tamil, I don't know.
I was very impressed by your connections, but you may have overlooked or not been aware of other connections.
Yes.
Now, Portugal came to Asia through trade. They were not colonialists.
That's right.
So as a result, they didn't establish governments, colonial governments, other than in Goa. They were more religious, but more trade and religious. But they spread around this region. And recently, earlier this year, I went to Cochin.
Yes.
Cochin in India. And there I could see the Dutch and the Portuguese had come there and spread from there. So all the, not only from Cochin, but around that western seaboard of India.
Yes.
In fact, you will find the former Malaysian Prime Minister's wife is of Portuguese extraction.
Is that right?
And former Malaysian, she's still living. And
There are indeed many connections. I mean, I'd just like to respond as you're talking about it. Is there a question? Because, I mean, the connections are huge. If you actually look at the cross, there are a number of Portuguese words that we have adapted in the Tamil language in the part of India that my father comes from. We say sapato for slippers, and it's sapato in Portuguese. Janel is janela, window. And obrigado, thank you, in Portuguese, apparently derives from the Japanese arigato.
Yeah.
So, pão is bread, pao in Mandarin is bread. The connections are immense. I mean, apparently there's 247 words in Japanese that come from Portuguese origin, I've heard. So it's huge. Yeah.
So have you been to?
The parts of India that...
Yes.
I have not. I've been to Cochin, but at the time I hadn't discovered Portugal, so I did not appreciate the level of Portuguese history in Cochin. But I have had Portuguese friends who've actually visited and shown me great pictures of, old houses and even the church, which is Portuguese. And to my shame, I haven't been to Goa yet, or to Macau. But these are all on the list in the future to discover our own trail of Portuguese discoveries of Vasco da Gama. Maybe that's one thing we should do.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's give a round of